manner. We are getting ready to live stream. Let's see what's the update. We have to make sure that we are both live on LinkedIn and YouTube, just so that we don't miss out on anything. And surprisingly, the app is not giving me any updates yet. Okay, so we are streaming in both the places, and here we are, episode number 78, Daily Live with Dr. Surya. Very, very important episode, because this episode was pretty much, I think, 2.5 months into the making. And I feel right now the fact that we are in episode number 78 and we are stepping up on the consistency part again, right from scratch, in 2026 being the year when we set up all the stuff. This is the one key thing that I wanted to talk about. Success leaves clues. This quote is by Jim Rohn. Tony Robbins took it to the world, and he ended up recently as one of the guests in The Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett. Now, I haven't yet watched the episode. I've just watched the trailer, and the trailer in itself, there's a crazy thing whenever I see Tony Robbins talk. The way he feels every single word that comes out of his mouth, the way he has optimized his life around the whole process of strategies and systems and making things happen. To take this whole phrase, success leaves clues, and to build a life around it, where today, right now, he was a janitor earlier. He doesn't have any proper degree as such. And yet he talks to the greatest lawyers, the accountants, the doctors, the CEOs, CXOs, founders, entrepreneurs on this whole planet. He's coached some of the greatest presidents, prime ministers, and great legends on the whole globe. Now, when I started my journey from the college days, which obviously began with taking communication as the foundation, I started asking myself, okay, you look at all these crazy people on this planet, and they built an entire lifestyle around this one skill. What is it that I also can do in order to make that happen? Today's episode is when we will be crafting that entire thing, and I will be giving you a sneak peek of exactly what is it that I've learned over these years and how you also can literally implement the same. And we will go through this entire live episode in 3 stages. The first is the step-by-step learnings, experiences, stories that I introduced myself to and also went through, which led to numerous failures and mistakes, which will come into the part two, as in what are the gaps that I observed in the education industry, in the employment industry, in the fact that we are doing certain job roles. What is it that we have to do in order to earn that money? How active income is related to it? What are the things that I learned when I wanted to get the solutions from the right coaches and trainers? And then we move on to the third part of, based on all these learnings, what am I doing and what can you do as well? And how in each of these three categories, the communication aspect plays literally the most fundamental and most important role. So to begin with, you look at how the world has orchestrated itself. Throughout school, we've been told, go to the school, go to the tuitions, give your exams well, get the best marks so that you can have a great life. Lie. Doesn't happen. Doesn't work that way. The education system already, imagine I passed my 12th in 2014. 2014, we didn't even have internet in our house. We used to go to cyber cafes to take out printouts of the project papers, images, and then cut them and apply them in our project, which is useless if you compare it to 2026 with all the technological advancements that has happened. Like literally right now, I don't have any notebooks. The fact that I'm journaling, I'm finding it difficult to write because I've lost the habit of writing. So if the education system is already obsolete, instead of teaching, instead of ensuring that we are taught to mug up subjects, had they taught us the first principles, emotional thinking, design thinking, critical reasoning, open-ended questioning, how to think, how to strategize, all those things. That is a set of meta skills that we can now apply in our day-to-day life, and that's what makes us a valuable force in the marketplace. Now, I'll use one more Tony Robbins quote. Again, not his quote, Jim Rohn's quote, and he revolutionized it. He says, "We are all equal as souls, but we are not equal in the marketplace." Let that sink in. The amount of education that you get only gets you to the next best job. So at the start of this year, I had a very, very weird kind of a dream where I saw that, oh, Sunsden has gone all the way to create $1 million a month revenue. And then I felt like, oh, I got the urge of, oh, I have to go back to academics. And I went to this place called Kota, Rajasthan, which is India's premier location for students to go and prepare for their entrance exams. Even though I'm 40 and above, I'm preparing hard, slogging my 16, 18-hour study days and to crack an exam so that I can again become an MBBS from a reputed college like an AIMS and again do the entire the academic ladder. But when I tried to sit down and analyze that entire dream, it didn't make any sense, because as you grow in life, it doesn't really matter what are your academic pursuits or potential. All that matters is how much value are you creating in the marketplace. So even if I get that academic position, that MBBS degree, whatever it is, all that I will be able to do is become a doctor and take care of a handful of patients every single day. But the path where I've already ventured out into over the last 5 to 6 years, 7 years of corporate, followed by right now, I will not necessarily call it entrepreneurship. Because as an Indian, as a Bengali, the kind of cultural traits and the environmental factors where I grew up, we are not naturally entrepreneur minds. We are still employee minds. So on one end, I can consider myself as an entrepreneur, but the other end, I also am aware of the specific role that I'm playing as a part of Sunsden, which at this point of time is the head of learning and development. So I know that I need to do these set of tasks. And if I do that, at the end of the month, I will be drawing a salary. So that way, I'm not killing off the employee mode, because that's the mode that obviously puts us in the most default status to get to earn, and also puts us in some form of a default system. However, at the same time, I can take a step back and think like an entrepreneur as well, in which I can cut down the amount of time that I need to give in. So the education system is something that did not teach us all these things. Then you move to college, and that's a whole new level altogether. You go through the rigors of school day in and day out, the exams, the tuitions, the uniforms, the strictness of home. Suddenly you go to college and you see there's a humongous level of freedom here. There's no uniform. The guys are handsome, the girls are hot. And suddenly you feel that the hormones, because we've just hit 18 and stuff, it just overpowers you and you just want to experience, no, what's that called thing called? There are two terminologies. FOMO, fear of missing out, YOLO, you only live once. Okay. And that's when I used to see my batchmates smoking, drinking, pubbing, clubbing, all forms of entertainment, movie watching together, and all kinds of stuff, which I personally did not resonate with, because the way that I was thinking is, okay, if I do this, what impact is it going to have in me 10 years down the line? Now, I grew up seeing my dad coming home drunk, smoking a couple of packets a day. So I know, having seen him grown up, that it's not really brings any proper fruit other than just that little fleeting moment of pleasure. But the foundational understandings, how is relationships made, both personal and professional? How do you solve a problem throughout your degree course that helps you master the skills that sets you up for life? What are the stuff that you need to learn and hands-on mode that will help you stay independent no matter what? Now, these are the questions that that only you start asking yourself and you expose yourself to those kind of minds who have asked these questions in the first place. And that's why when Tony Robbins says, I'm not the brightest brain in the world, what I've done is I've gone laser focused into studying, into researching about the most powerful minds on the planet. So he's someone who's read over 700 books. Now, I didn't read 700 books, but I sure as heavens knew how to find those books and read not 700, but at least 100 to put myself into scenarios. Of course, back then in college, because I knew that I was getting ragged and stuff, my weekends were more towards service, volunteering services through the Satya Sai Seva organizations. That's where I met my dear elder brother, come mentor, you can say, Suman brother. And he's someone who literally not just handheld me into giving me the lessons through spirituality, his life became a blueprint that I can look towards. Because in my house, I have an uncle who is unmarried, and apparently everyone thinks that he's not so happy. He would have been far happier had he got decided to get married. But then on the other hand, I also see a Suman brother who consciously decided not to get married. And he has a humongous 3 BHK on the 17th floor at the heart of South Bangalore, overseeing the lake. There's a beautiful swimming pool, a squash court, badminton court, whatnot. And that became this dream that I'd like to explore, that I'd like to experience. And that was college. Coming to the workplace, we all want eventually money. That's the truth. So if anyone says that, oh, in the interview, when people ask you that, why do you really want to join this company? I want to join this company for the mission, vision, values, code of honor, the kind of things that I'm going to learn. This is what we are told to say. But deep down, we know we are here for the money. Anything over and above, obviously, is a bonus. Now, what do I mean by money? It's more of having that clarity of the basic lifestyle that we would like to have. And I, for once, believe that my lifestyle is pretty much the most basic that can ever be. You give me 3 times of good, healthy, hygienic, tasty food, and I'm happy. You give me the same set of clothes. So ideally, I'll tell you, ideal scenario, I would like to have, let's just say if I like this shirt, I will purchase 10 shirts of the same color. If I like a certain pant, I will purchase 10 pants of exactly the same color. And then I don't have any decision fatigue of exactly what I want to wear. Now, people will be like, don't you think you should have a different set of clothes? You should be groomable, you should look good and all. Yes, I agree. But when I also look at people like a Mark Zuckerberg or Steve Jobs or a Bill Gates, they keep things exactly unanimous. I mean, they do it. And if they do it and they are so successful, which means there must be a reason why they are doing it. And I'd like to pretty much do the same as well. So the contrasting thoughts, joining a company. So in India, at least, you have 2 kinds of jobs. One is a government job. So you keep giving those government entrance exams. The seats are obviously limited and they are continuing to diminish with each passing year, while the population as a whole is increasing and the number of people attempting the exam is continuously increasing. They're increasing the level of difficulty of the exams overall. So you need to give multiple attempts. It's a whole rigorous process. My brother has cleared. So uh, in our family, we have literally the 2 spokes. I am the one who appeared for all these entrance exams and did not do, did not clear any one of them. I mean, maybe the basic cutoff, but that's all about it. My brother, on the other hand, went through the system, went through the grind and cleared it. And right now he's working in one of the world's most prestigious companies. And me, on the other hand, I finished my dentistry only to realize that it's not something that I enjoy. I would love to revisit dentistry in some form of a managerial capacity or a administrative capacity at some point of time in life, but I would like to learn the stuff hands-on. Unfortunately, your workplace is the only thing that teaches you that. However, you're always sitting on knife edge, especially if you're staying in a metropolitan city. and you have family members dependent on you, the companies, they don't care, honestly. They don't. That's the truth. So, and you can't even say that I'm here for the money. What you can do is you can learn the communication frameworks to establish enough value that you're creating for the company, so that the company will be able to justify the same with the right package, even if it means pushing their package a little more than what they would ideally pay for that workplace. But then the companies make certain promises of increasing your salary, your promotions, your appraisals, and all. But most often, I have realized, at least my experience, 7 years is a pretty big one, that the private companies work at a far more aggressive level. And I'm not talking about the MNCs, I'm talking about the startups. So, majorly, I've worked in startups itself so far. MNCs, they have a structure. I'm talking about places like a TCS or an Infosys, Accenture, and all. But in startups, it's always very, very volatile. Volatile means they ask for your flexibility. The flexibility means you need to be more available. So, usually, if you should be working 6 to 8 hours a day, the flexibility means you have to be available for 12 to 14 hours. You have to be working 6 days a week instead of 5. But then the pay package, there's only a promise that if you work hard now, then you will get rewarded later. When is that later going to come? No one knows. So, having experienced such a school life, college life, and then a corporate life, we'll now move to the phase two, which is about what is it that we did not learn? What were the observations? And how are things looking at right now from an income perspective? And I'll take both the examples here. Okay. First, we'll look at a job, and then we will look at entrepreneurship. A job. You have a reporting manager, and both of you, you and the reporting manager, are working in a company. A company that has an audience or a persona or a customer base that they serve, either through a product or a service. That's it. Product or service. So, in order to serve the customers, the company hires employees that takes care of specific job roles that works together cumulatively to give the customer the product or the service. So overall, if you look at any company, there are certain roles which are mandatory. The roles involve front end and back end. Front end roles are the ones that are customer facing, that talks to the customers. So you got, if it's a small company from a small startup, you have the face of the company, the founder, CEO level, or the C-suits, and then you have the managers, and then the executives. And then there are these different departments. Front-facing department includes sales, marketing. It could be support executives, customer delight team. Pretty much these are the ones. And then customer delight team includes support executives or whatever, if it's a tech company and all. And then the back end includes tech ops, R&D, that is research and development. You have the HR. You have HR. I sincerely feel and predict that in another 10 years, human resources are going to become redundant, especially with AI agents coming in. So anyways, my experience has been that human resources actually, uh, while it does talk about human resources, but it's kind of the irony, because they end up depleting the energy and of the employees and all. Instead of serving them, takes the entire thing away. So it's going to be redundant anyway. So HR, and then the different training and development and all these kind of things are also there. And there could be these accounts, law, and all those internal stuff which talks about all the compliances and everything. So these are pretty much overall the at a startup level. Now, in an MNC level, you also have investors and VP and all these stuff to work with. So they have board of directors and all, which is kind of a hybrid, because they have these maybe their company is listed in the stock market, and also they have to work towards dividends, and they need to talk to their investors and all that. That's another bigger picture of it. Now all these things I'm able to know because being exposed, and I ask a lot of questions to a lot of people. Now when you look at any company from this perspective as an employee, you begin to realize that, okay, so now what's my role? Your role is to ensure that you do your job to the best of your ability, so that it's like a proper machine, in when you look at a seventh or eighth standard physics, there's a chapter over there called machines, I guess. Different lever machines. The one screw turns here, the other screw will turn here, then the other screw will turn here, and overall, if all the screws are functioning properly, only then the machine works perfectly, isn't it? And then I remember there's a effort end, load end, and a fulcrum, and all those things. So when you really look at the foundations of a company, you will be able to find your role in it, and how you doing your work in the best possible manner will eventually ensure that the whole company is working as a whole. But my experience so far has been that you could be either of the three screws. You could be the best performing screw, which means you're going to perform, you're going to rotate, you're going to perform at the highest level with the highest energy, highest impact, highest value per second or value per minute. But if the surrounding screws around you are not functioning at your level, then you eventually slow down as per the overall team members' pace. And that's what I did not feel very good about. Now, a couple of years back, I learned this lesson the hard way, and a very, very famous person who happened to be one of my coaches, he said, Suryadeep, whether you like it or not, it's the truth of the corporate that the good people are only blessed with more work. That's the truth. So you have two choices. Either you can continue blaming about it, or you can slowly strategize things in such a manner where you finish the work, but you don't give it at the right time. Now it feels good to do all of that, but I didn't feel very good about it. Deep down, especially in the last 6 to 8 months, I've begun to realize that I don't want to do anything which is taking my night's sleep away from me. So if all the screws needs to perform in the best possible manner, in the most optimized manner, and there are companies in this world, you look at the Googles and the Apples and Meta, in India, if I have to talk about, you look at the Tatas, the Geo, Ambani's. Okay, you look at some of the biggest brands that India has ever produced, the Haldirams. Uh, there's this very famous sari brand. I'm not able to remember the name exactly right now, but there are brands that have people working in their companies for 40 years, 50 years, and they are enjoying the process. Now, because of internet, obviously you are able to see all those things right in front of your eyes. So if the kind of dream life that I'm expecting exists, how to even go about it? And this is where communication is your only go-to resource to be able to find out this problem, go to its root cause, and then eventually figure out the solutions as well. Your income is directed to the roles that you are able to successfully fulfill for the company, acting as one of the vital screws so that overall the company works great. Now, I'm not sure how I'm able to attract this, but it's already been over a month and a half that uh, I resigned from my previous role and signed up as the head of learning and development in Sunsden. It's crazy because I keep getting these opportunities from some of even the biggest companies that I personally have heard of. And then when I look at the job description, and when I look at the roles and responsibilities and the amount of hours that I have to give, it baffles me that the pay cut is so less, considering that the output is so much. Let's just say, even in my previous workspace, now that I've got all my relieving letter documents, I can, without taking any names, I can talk about it. Imagine an education based company making one making 35. When I signed up, they were making around 10 to 15 lakhs per month. By the time I left, they were making around 40, 45 to even 50 lakhs per month in revenue, full-fledged revenue, because of the involvement of the sales team with the way that the systems and processes that was built. And yet my pay cut was not even close to, I'm not even expecting 10%, but at least 5% of that amount. But that's not how it works. So that's what brings me now to phase three. My school, college, corporate experience, and the foundations of business knowledge and the department and all those things brings me down to the process of understanding the power of income. And income is pretty much the value that you create in the marketplace. So if you don't have money coming in, which means you're not bringing enough, you're not creating enough value in the marketplace in a way that the market is able to see you. So for me, I feel so proud that I'm able to show myself up and organize my thoughts, deliver it publicly in a way that even if I fumble, I mess up, I forget, I cannot let that affect me. I need to ensure that the show must go on, because only then the world will get to see whether I'm able to do my job properly or not. And because communication is my breath, there cannot be a bigger and better proof than what am I doing right now. So if I need to show up to the world, let's now begin to decode how interesting things become. Speak to Lead is a 10-week in implementation based cohort. So you want to learn communication skills, you join, you do every single thing that we tell you, and we help you do every single thing that we tell you. You don't take any notes, you don't miss out on any of the days. You just keep doing whatever we tell you to do, and that's it. At the end of 10 weeks, you will be shocked and surprised of how beautifully you have transformed. Now, how long did it take for you to master communication skills, or how long had you been wanting to work on this skill before? Some people say it's 2 months, 3 months, 6 years, 10 years, 30 years. In fact, our very first Speak to Lead live student, he said, what took me 30 years to learn, you literally gave me that transformation in less than 30 days. Crazy thing. But that cannot happen unless there is a system that involves sales, marketing, tech ops, research and development, process, systems and SOPs, delivery, feedback and evaluation, upgradation and updates. And there you go. I am suddenly playing these multiple roles as an entrepreneur, but then stepping into each of these roles, and suddenly I am the playing the role of those multiple screws, so that eventually the machine performs beautifully. And if I'm able to do that consistently over a period of time, here's what happens. Today, if a fellow coach or a business reaches out to me and tells me, Suryadeep, you have created such a fantastic cohort, and I was going through the process and it feels so amazing. Can you help us do this also? Wow, now I can charge my expertise in the form of a consulting model or my advisory. Suryadeep, I can see that you have gone and done 78 episodes live and designed a beautiful playlist, which is also available in your website. Wow, can you help us do it? Guess what? There is another opportunity that comes in. I can create a course. I can write a book. I can create cheat sheets, custom GPTs, agents that does the work, conduct boot camps, webinars, more live cohorts. Imagine a live cohort on how to conduct a live cohort. That'll be crazy, isn't it? But I'm just talking about the possibilities that exists. And each of these possibilities leads to more income because I'm creating more value in the marketplace. However, at this point of me recording the live, can I really say that I'm that valuable in the marketplace? No, not yet, because even though it's 78th episode right now, I still don't feel that I've started building an audience yet. And I've not started building an audience yet because I've not put in that conscious efforts of going deep into the foundations and the fundamentals of audience building. Again, that's another vital problem that needs that vital step by step attention, the vital systems building to solve that problem and to start seeing the results. The results are again the data and the metrics, the number of followers that gets added, the number of people who's reaching out to me to ask about the cohort, the number of people who are booking the calls, the number of people who are subscribing to the newsletters and stuff. These little things, I'm able to process it right now because of all these learnings since my school days. Taking the conscious call to be able to do it myself, to be able to work towards it all by myself. Now, here I'm very, very blessed that I don't have to do it all alone. I have Yogeshwari to do it. But then that also has its consequences. Because the moment you are doing anything alone, you know that you are in sole control. If you work hard, you get to do it. If you don't do it, you're not going to get the results. The same thing when there are more than one people involved as well. That's what happens in every team, right? That a certain team has high performers, not so high performers, and even the high performers goes through a low phase. The low performers has a high day. How do you ensure that you're able to get the job done? Ensure that all the screws are functioning properly, equally. And that's what brings us to phase 3. The dreams and the aspirations. So the other day, Yogeshwari and I were having this conversation, and she told me, I asked her, like, what help do you need from me? What help do you need? And that question in itself, I feel, is something that we need to ask ourselves no matter what. Imagine if you had all the time and money in the world, what would you see? What do you see yourself doing? How do you see yourself spending your time? The moment you take time and money out of the equation, you can finally think free. So allow yourself, give yourself that permission to think in that manner. And then what help do you? Okay, so my cat has come back after spending an entire night out. So it's a very, very good thing to see. Yeah, okay. It's not a good thing, okay, getting distracted, especially while being live, but let's come back. So Yogeshwari told me obviously whatever she wants and all. And then I asked her, what do you think is holding you back and where do you need my help on? And she said, if there's any way I can follow a particular process consecutively for 90 days without fail, then getting 15 students per cohort is going to be a piece of cake. Now, I had two options in this. Didn't you know this 90 days before also? Now look at the weirdness of that question. It's literally an out and out brutal allegation. Didn't you know this 90 days before also? It wouldn't serve the purpose at all. Rather, the next set of stuff, the conversation that unfolded was so much bigger, where I asked her permission to share my thoughts on it. And my thoughts were pretty much this, that it's not that you are not able to follow through a particular process for 90 days. Even right now, when I'm doing this, the reason why I said that I want to do 2 lives per day, that's because I sincerely feel that it's not just because I want to overcompensate. It's just that I want to develop the practice of speaking for longer periods of time and use this the next couple of days as a launch pad to make it happen, so that I know whether I'm prepared or not, I'm able to deliver a 15-minute, 20-minute, 30 minutes, 45 minutes talk just with the sheer power of organizing my thoughts, which I can then later work towards and see how well am I doing. And that is possible because of the vision that I have. Vision, purpose, why. These are the pullers. These are the foundations that makes you either slack back, Netflix and chill, or really step up the gear and do the things that you have to do. So on one end, my vision is to ensure that today if my dad tells, I wish I had an iPhone, the very evening I will be able to buy him an iPhone, not from my active money, from the passive money that I'm making, where money is doing its work for me. What does that mean? Maybe I have enough stocks which I can dilute and then purchase that iPhone to him. Maybe a couple of course sales that's happening at the background, money is already coming into the bank account, and I can give that money to him, buy the phone through it, give it to him. Maybe we have our speak to lead cohorts happening in a hybrid mode where people are traveling from different parts of a globe to a very simple holiday home in Dharamshala. Okay, simple holiday home in Dharamshala, overseeing the Himalayas, and out in the open, we are having our mic and a speaker and a couple of chairs, and we are hosting the Speak to Lead live entire 10-week cohort in that particular place. So people get to experience a new city, stay there for 3 months. Now, this is the vision that I'm able to carry. And then Yogeshwari took that vision and took it all the way to a whole new level. And that, for me, feels magical. Now, in order to make that vision a reality, we need to come down and build on a system of success, a system of failure. If we are not getting the success that we want, what are the touch points that we are not checking? And that is eventually not giving us the results that we want. Okay, if these are the checkpoints that we are not doing, what are the checkpoints that we need to follow that will help us do and check these boxes? So at this point of time, if I just have to give you another simpler example, it would be, how do we get 15 students per cohort? Well, we have to end up speaking to 100 people every single week. 100 people speaking to them. So that would be literally talking to them over DM. So now there are again multiple touch points: LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, but we will choose LinkedIn because LinkedIn is where our ideal target market is there. And Yogeshwari has crafted a beautiful system in which I can literally reach out to those people through the search box and job title based searches. I can connect and resonate with the people of some of the most prominent folks in the world who are creating their posts, and people are reacting to their posts. So I know that who are the active folks on LinkedIn who genuinely need help and support. I can actually reach out to them as well. The point is, 100 people, I need to reach out to them. Again, will all 100 people book a call with me? No. But can I ensure that out of 100, at least 10 people are booking a call with me every single week? Because after that, all I need to do is talk to those 10 people, help them, and maybe 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 of them sign up for the live cohort. Now, when you break these things down in numbers, it becomes easy. I told you about receiving a lot of job offers, isn't it? One of the job offers was, I need to manage 50 to 60 coaches and take care of their entire end-to-end delivery of the same work that Yogeshwari and I are doing. In this case, I'll give you these numbers, very simple numbers. Right now, we've just increased our cohort seats from 30,000 per seat to 60,000 per seat. And that's because we've added the CPD accreditation and all those lot of aspects. And the whole cohort is going through a humongous upgrade. We are uh, giving you even faster results with a shorter span of time. So, and all that is, by the way, before the third week itself. Like, what we are guaranteeing is you're going to get 50% progress, 50 to 60% progress within, even before you sit with us for the first live session. Isn't that crazy? So now, if it's 60,000 rupees per seat, it's 15, you can make out. Let me try and see if I can do them. Yeah, it's suddenly a 9 lakh a month business. 9 lakh a month. Even if I Yogeshwari and I would draw a 1 lakh each from the salary. We have 7 lakhs in store for our marketing, for our operations, for building more stuff at the back end as a business. All this is possible. Now, by the way, if I'm working for a company, here's what happens. I get my 1 lakh and the company gets the rest of the profits. Now, obviously, they'll use it for the company growth and all, but I don't see an increase in my payday unless I'm able to repeat the same form over and over again for at least 3 years. I mean, ideally, we are supposed to get uh, an appraisal or a promotion once in a year, and but that over a span in the last 10 years, if you look at the startups and the corporates, it's just been 3%. 3%. Is it really increment or is it cashback? But that's what happens when you think of yourself as an entrepreneur first and then an employee. You get to keep both the versions of you active, at the end of the day, creating results for the company. So, do I consider myself as an entrepreneur? No, honestly, not. Do I consider myself as a coach? No, not at all. I am enjoying this title of a head of training and development and loving the title of customer pampering head, who really is obsessed about giving people the results. That's how I would love for you to communicate with yourself as well. Your income is dependent purely. It's the convergence of your vision, your purpose, your why, the kind of dream life that you would like to have, either for yourself or for your family. Doesn't matter what your goals are. And the other end is the kind of value that you create in the marketplace, the systems that you're building, and the way that you're communicating with yourself every single time about it. If you enjoyed this episode so far, it would mean the world to me if you can share your thoughts, your maybe the single biggest thought, the single biggest bulb on that you experienced. And also, if you're new here, please hit that follow button. Please hit that like button. I cannot tell you how much that little one activity, that the action that you will take will inspire me to prepare better, serve better, give far more. And this is something that I'm planning to continue throughout 2026 at least. Not sure about later, but this is this is Yogeshwari and my obsession right now, to build this every single day. There's so many things in store that's coming up, but we are just taking it one step at a time. And you being here, you just get to experience that as a proof. Looking forward to seeing you in today's second live, which is going to happen after some time, but you will get the notification if you hit the bell icon as well.